Chapter 21. The following day, John sat in his office, lost in contemplation. The computer hummed softly. A stack of psychiatric journals lay open on his desk. His forehead rested in his hand. His legs felt lifeless. He had just returned from a disastrous team meeting regarding Rebecca. No one supported his efforts. Instead, he had failed her. He had been so absorbed in helping her, he couldn't see what was correct. Had he really thought he could solve a situation that had existed at Clearcreek for over 5 years? If only he had the staff's support. In the past, everyone had acknowledged her progress, rejoiced in her success, and shared concern when she slid back. But only John had been verbal and active in his efforts to move her toward a discharge status. In regards to this goal, the staff tended to be vague. No one shared much regarding this endeavor. Until now. For the first time, 2 individuals had voiced their concerns. Or was this the first time John was listening to the others? Nevertheless, during this evaluation meeting, he finally discovered he was struggling alone. A sharp knock on the office door interrupted his thoughts. "Hey," Anita partially opened the door. "Thought I might find you here." "Just going over some things. What can I help you with?" "Dr. Landerson wanted me to set up a meeting with you tomorrow in his office at 9. John sighed. "All right." She lingered in the doorway. "You okay?" "I should be." He tapped on the open journals that he had been reading, just rethinking some things. Anita pushed the door open wider. "Patients?" "Yes." She slid further into the room. "Are you taking care of yourself?" "I'm trying to." She sat down on the small wooden chair. "So what's wrong?" John shook his head, trying to dispel her questions. "I'm fine." "No, you're not. What's going on?" She clutched her hands together, placed them in her lap, and waited. "It's just an evaluation meeting." "And?" "And..." John rested his elbow on the journal and rubbed his head. "I don't know where I was in all the past ones we've had." "What do you mean?" she asked softly. "I thought I was working with a team." He leaned back in his office chair and stared at her directly. "Apparently, I was wrong." "So what happened today?" "We were discussing Rebecca Brownell, and the whole core of people turned on me." "Why?" Her question sounded in the same vein as the others. One more person questioning his efforts. "I don't know why." He shut the top journal in front of him, last month's schizophrenia review, and started rearranging his desk. "Dr. Landerson scared the group a few months ago, but I thought we'd finally gotten past that." "Scared the group?" Her tone maintained that same sound of doubt. "He doesn't think Rebecca can improve." John reached for his desk drawer, but as it did every time, the drawer stuck. "John, has that much changed since then?" "Yes." He pulled harder on the drawer, finally getting it to budge. "And I thought everyone could see that." He dropped the journal inside. "But today, I made a fool of myself. Strutted around announcing that we should focus on our upcoming discharge status. When I turned to others for backup, that's when I learned I was all alone." "What did the others say?" He shook his head. Heather and Matt couldn't say anything positive. "Like what?" she pressed. "Give me an example." John leaned his head back in the chair. His contrary tone from the meeting returned. Heather spouted off some little report about friendship being vital to a person's development, that the greatest predictor of rejection is poor social skills, some garbage about how necessary positive social contact is. "Well, isn't it important?" Then Matt said Rebecca has made no effort to interact with others in their group environment. She's never made friends while here, and she doesn't know how. Anita tilted her head, her voice still reminiscent of the questioning he'd just endured. "They might have a point." "Well, isn't that their job?" His voice grew louder. "Aren't they supposed to be showing her how to do that? Am I fighting this battle on my own, or what?" Anita spoke softly. "What else did they say?" He glanced at the far corner of his desk where he'd dropped Rebecca's file right after the meeting. Inside were all his notes, but he remembered the negative exchange well. That she lacks positive interaction skills. is not cooperative or helpful, and shows inconsiderate behavior to others. If she were to leave here without making any steps toward trying to interact with others, the rejection, loneliness, and lack of peer support would make all her other problems worse. She tilted her head to the other side, as if offering him to share his opposing view. You don't agree with them? During the meeting, John felt pushed into a corner, the team clearly showing John was outnumbered. The list continued. They also said she'd experience emotional difficulties, strong feelings of loneliness, social dissatisfaction, and isolation, and all this would lead to lower self-esteem and depression. Anita shook her head lightly and spoke calmly. They're just doing their job. Well, they took complete control of the meeting, convincing everyone that would be sending her out to experience failure if she were to leave Clearcreek right now. Concern filled Anita's eyes. And did anyone else voice their opinions? No. I spoke up again and said that it was obvious that we as an institution had not been doing our job. She should have learned some of those skills here, but if she had not, the opportunity was gone. She does need to improve or even develop interpersonal relationship skills, but those skills could be gained through day treatment, recreation programs, or one-on-one mentoring. So, her voice remained soft. You're suggesting she get that type of counseling away from here? John reached for Rebecca's file, but he refused to open it. He knew his suggestions well. There are support groups that can help her, or even peer education classes. She'll have individual therapy. Besides, the best thing for her will be to expand her social circle one person at a time. She gave him a kind smile. What did they say to that? They brought up the issue that she has no family. Since we'd be sending her out without a support group, everyone says we're setting her up to fail. The smile grew wider, shifting more to a state of sympathy toward John. They have a point. I don't care. We can't simply keep her here because she doesn't have a better place to be. She's running out of opportunities. We get her out of here and things will start to fall into place. I hope you're right. She stood up. Well, John shook his head, feeling as if Anita was one more person he couldn't convince. We'll never know if we keep trying to find ways to keep her here. Do you really think it's you versus the rest of the staff? Yes. John also stood up. Lately, I do. John, everyone is trying to do what they think is best. Really, Anita? Does everyone care about what happens to her? Of course they do, she said firmly. I wish I could see that. The sympathy grin now appeared as a frown. You're starting to worry me, John. I'm just tired of fighting this battle on my own. So no one agreed with you? No one said anything. Only Heather and Matt. What do they know anyway? If Dr. Landerson's spoken to them, she looked at John directly. That's what they know. Has he? She raised her hands up as if she were done with their debate. You said he scared them. Matt and Heather are certainly going to listen to him. Can't anyone think for themselves around here? John. Anita placed her hand on the doorknob. Maybe you need to listen to him too. I've heard some of the talk. I think you're wasting your energy. I can't believe this place. What do you people value? She shrugged, but the concern shone through her eyes. I'm just trying to help. Well, I don't understand it. I need to get going. Remember, Dr. Landerson's at 9 tomorrow. Anita's visit made John angrier. There were moments when he felt justified in blaming everyone else for Rebecca's situation, but during quiet moments, he also had to address his own reservations. That evening, he sought a place to voice his concerns and headed over to Randy's. Glad you're home, John said when his friend answered the door. I need some advice. Well, Randy shrugged. You come in, I put you to work. I'm grading papers. John headed into the apartment and surveyed the piles of exams that covered Randy's dining room table. Sure, I can help. Multiple choice stuff? I got some of that I can give you. Bring it on. John sat down at the table. Randy set John up with a stack of papers and an answer key. Then once he'd resumed his seat by his grade book and a stack of marked papers, Randy asked, "So what advice are you looking for from the wise one?" He shot John a wide grin. John nodded and glanced back at the start of an exam. When he looked back at Randy, he kept his tone guarded. "What if everyone else is right and I'm wrong? This is your work, right? You are aware that job consumes you? It seems to suck you in and take control of who you are." John shot Randy a smirk. The ironic moment. Here we are grading your students' stuff, whereas I figured you'd be out playing tonight. Randy gave John a wink. "No worries, friend." He looked at the exam next to him, then entered the score in his grade book. "Summer is right around the corner. I'm starting to taste it. This is just to keep me focused until I'm free. But you," he looked at John, "catch me up. What's the latest in your hospital mini-series?" John laughed, leaned back, then sighed. "I'm just looking for your take on this. I want to see what I'm missing. Either they're impeding the work or I am. Maybe it is me." "John," Randy set down his pen. "Focus. Listen to me. I need to know. Do you like being at Clearcreek?" "Yes." "Is it good for you?" "Of course." "Are you sure?" John folded his arms and nodded at Randy. "There are times where it's wonderful, great, fun. Sometimes I'll be walking down the halls and I'm amazed that I'm there." "And what about the other times?" "Okay." John stared back at the quiz. He retrieved his pen and looked at the answer key while adding, "Sometimes the building feels too huge, too great. I don't know what it is. Sometimes I find myself questioning things." "Like what?" John looked up to see Randy watching him. "I don't know. It's a good place. It is." Randy scowled at John. "All good and nothing bad, huh?" "No." John resumed matching answers. "Sometimes it's confining. Occasionally there are moments when I forget about the doctor I really want to be. In those moments, I become confused about what my purpose is." "Well, I can help you there," Randy chuckled. "I've listened to you enough to know exactly what your purpose is. You want to rescue the world, one mental patient at a time." "No, Randy." John set down the pen and looked up. "Sometimes I don't know what I want." "That's not true." Amusement filled Randy's eyes. "You're passionate about this stuff. Compulsive. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to listen to Dr. Landerson, and I need to respect Dr. Gravers. Maybe I've set up my patient to fail. I'm getting burned out fighting this alone." Randy nodded. "So everyone wants her to stay there?" "Lately it seems like that's the case." "And that seems odd to you?" "Apparently, everyone else is seeing things that I'm too blind to see." Randy folded his arms and pressed his lips together. Then he said, "Have you ever thought that something else might be going on?" "Like what?" "I don't know." He shrugged. "It's privately funded, right?" "Yeah." Randy tilted his head. "So they can't afford to let her go?" "No, that's not an issue. There's a long waiting list. Trust me, filling beds is not a concern for them. What's a concern is that maybe they have a stupid doctor working for them. What am I missing that is so obvious to everyone else?" "You're the smartest guy I know, and you say this patient needs to leave, and no one else can see that." Randy squinted and rubbed his chin. "Sounds fishy to me." "Randy, I appreciate your help." John folded his arms over the exams and leaned forward. "But I'm different than the rest of Clearcreek staff, and I need to understand if I'm the one who is missing things." Randy sat upright and stared directly at John. "In the past, you believed that she was ready to leave Clearcreek. Why did you think that before?" "Originally, I don't know if it was so much that she was ready, but more of an understanding that she needed to aim to move on. All I could think was, what type of life is this? Think about it. She's created this world around her that's entirely fake. It isn't real. Even now, wanting to live at Clearcreek, that's an inaccurate portrayal of life. I've been on a quest to prove to her that her view of life is false, but she hasn't wanted to see things clearly. She doesn't want to face reality. And what is reality? All I wanted to do was show her she could have a better life, a bigger, brighter, realistic future. But I guess we all see what we want to see. We all see what we want to see. What does that mean? Randy asked. What am I missing right now? Oh, hello, sir. He spoke to empty air. I didn't mean to step on your foot. I didn't see you there. Oh, and hello, ma'am. I would have spoken to you sooner had I realized you were a part of this conversation. Let's see. He looked in both directions. Who else am I missing? Very funny, Randy. John smirked at him. We're fine. It's my patients I worry about. Good. Randy stopped smiling. But have you ever worried about yourself? We don't have a problem, John said. How do you know? Okay, you're right. Humor slipped through John's tone. I don't know that you're fine. Be serious. Randy's tone carried a weight. I want to know. You're asking me to be serious? John shot Randy an amused look. When are you serious? I'm just thinking about what you're saying. Randy scratched at his chin. What if that's true? What if we only see what we want to see? He twisted his head and paused at the space where he'd spoken to the pretend man. What if there's a realm of existence we're oblivious to? John raised his eyebrows at Randy. Are you getting philosophical on me? He gave John a somber look. What's your answer? I'm not interested in this discussion. John picked up his pen and looked back at the student's exam. Well, you're making me think. Just like you're trying to pull your patient out of a world, what if there's a world we're a part of, but we don't know it yet? Randy. He marked a wrong answer. I'm not interested in this. You're trying to prove to your patient that she could have a bigger, brighter, and better life by accepting she's been living a lie, right? Randy's voice grew excited, causing John to look up at him. Well, what if the world we live in is false? Have you ever thought of that? What if there was a bigger, brighter, better realm of existence that's even truer, but we can't see it or comprehend it? Maybe we could be experiencing more, but we aren't allowing ourselves to. Randy, we're fine. Maybe there are people who are trying to help us see this other realm of existence, just like you're trying to help her, but we aren't aware that these people are there to help us see what's really there. Sudden panic covered Randy's face. Look, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know either. Randy leaned back into his chair. But think about it. It's kind of scary. Overwhelming. Let me give you some counsel, John said. And because of my profession, I recommend you heed my counsel. Stick to teaching biology, and stay away from the liberal arts. Okay, you're right. I told you. You're dangerous. You make me think. Well, we're all right. You and I understand reality. We're okay. Yeah, we're okay.